Is that? Oh.
Welcome councillors, staff and gallery. We meet here in the spirit of respect, cooperation and collaboration. Collectively, we pay tribute to those who've come before us, the First Nations, as we seek to grow our understanding, connection and knowledge of their heritage and culture with respect and unity. We acknowledge the Ngadjuri, the Paramank and the Kaurna traditional custodians of these lands within the Barossa. And I also acknowledge the European settlers whose customs and traditions have been passed down through 6 generations. Councillors, apologies. I know Councillor De Vries is on his way, so he'll join us shortly. We'll move to 2.1.1, the minutes of the previous meeting for confirmation. So we have the council meeting held on the Tuesday the 20th of February at 5:30, special meeting of council on Wednesday the 21st of February and a special meeting held on Wednesday the 6th of March at 5 p.m. Would someone move those minutes be accepted? Councillor Hearn and seconded Councillor Angus. All those in favour? Carried. 2.2.1 is matters arising from those previous minutes and the adoption of the revised Northern and York Local Governments Alliance Charter, previously Legatus.
Just information.
That's just information, so we can move on from that one. Item 3.1.1 is a petition that's been presented to council this evening for the sealing of Neldner Road. Councillor Schilling.
Yes, I have a question, please, Mr. Mayor.
Yep.
Through the chair, probably to our director, I would like to know if there is any other road treatment other than sealing that could be used to minimise the dust. And also in the report, it shows that the last lot of information was as far back as 2019, and have any circumstances changed to the usage of that road since 2019? And subject to the answers to my questions, I may be looking at a change to the recommendation, Your Worship.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So to answer the first question, there's no other treatments other than sealing that can sort of mitigate the dust issue. To the second point around changes, we've probably noticed an increase in requests regarding dust and grading of Neldner Road. We've seen an increase in that. We have seen an increase across the district, but there's been a significant increase across the requests related to Neldner Road over the last 18 months.
Thank you. Therefore, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to propose a change to the recommendation.
Okay, I'll take that on notice and just see if there's any other questions first. Is there a question?
Questions is page 38 and page 39. So on page 39, 38, if you look at 38 and 39, but I'll go to 39, 39, oh, if it won't let me do it, get out of there. Sorry, just bear with me. 39, similar to Kev's question, Councillor question. I noticed that this goes back as far as it's got into discussions, Neldner Road Tanunda. Now it says here, the earliest request on the record to seal the road goes back as far as May 1997, when council received a petition of 221 signatures back then. There have also been letters. I also noticed that the road sits at number 345 out of 407. Now, this is back in 1997. So now it is sits at 170. It sits at now. So in about 27 years, it's gone from 400 position of 345 out of 400 down to 170, and that's in over 20 odd years. So that means in another 25 years they might come down to maybe number 5. So I mean, the question is, I'm for spending money on roads as footpaths, which everybody here knows. I love doing it roads and footpaths, and I'd more so rather do roads and footpaths than football ovals. That's where we should be spending our money. And I would like to think, the question is, that once we do all this spending on ovals, that we start spending a heap of money doing roads like this, building bridges that need to be done on Research Road. So, well, that's the question, is that the last time was 1997, and I couldn't see in here, back then, I think it's back in 1997, the estimated approximately cost would be $600,000. What would the be cost now? If it was done in 1997, it would have only been $600,000. What would the cost be now to the staff? So could you just answer that question for me, please, through the chair?
Through you, Mr Mayor. The 600,000 was the estimate at around 2018-19, just to clarify that point.
Okay, because it doesn't say, it says 1997, but that's fine. So question is, what would the cost be now? Sorry, through the chair.
Well, I'll allow Mr. Clark to answer, but I guess I think there's another step before that, is whether or not we want an assessment and something to come back on. That's probably more important. And just a follow-up question, I've several questions on this. Does this road sit within the town boundary of Tanunda? No, it sits out the outside, so it's classed as rural? Okay, all right. Right. Now, Nedler Road, page 38, item of 3.1.1. How much to seal the road, we don't know. We need to see a costings, and could this be part of roads to recovery in getting money for road to recovery? Because I noticed in page 38 it had about road to recovery in there. Mr. Clark?
Through you, Mr Mayor, there's not enough crash data or anything like that to warrant roads to recovery funding.
Okay. Because I honestly think that we should be spending a lot more money on our roads and footpaths. And this has been going since 1997. Not just this one, but Research Road needs a bridge. It's a single lane bridge.
Councillor, we're debating. We're still in questions. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, I'll move the motion as is.
I've said to Councillor Schilling that I've noted that she has a motion.
Okay, fair enough. That's fair enough.
I'll go back. If there's no further questions, I'll go back to Councillor Schilling. Thank you. Councillor Schilling.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, look, I'm happy with the recommendation as it is, but I would just like to add something at the end. And that is that we request a new report with some updated data to come back to council for a review in the future. As we understand, it's not going to happen in the coming financial year, but it's certainly, if we have the opportunity to do get some more updated data and information, then we can make a more better and informed decision for perhaps the following financial year.
I'll just let the CEO respond, and then we'll see if we get a second.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thanks, Councillor Schilling. I'm just clarifying and request a report with updated data be brought back to council within 12 months. So we can actually have a time frame.
12 months is probably pretty good.
Cool.
All clear?
Yeah, happy with 12 months. Is everybody else happy with 12 months?
Now you can speak to it.
already tried to do that, didn't I? My apologies. Yes, look, I'm kind of speaking on behalf of our Councillor De Vries, who wasn't able to be here for this part of the meeting, but yes, it has been on the books and a lot of discussion, and yes, this is a second petition, so I'm of the view that instead of doing nothing, let's actually relook at that road and what circumstances have changed and whether it will be something that we do need to look at in the near future, rather than because it didn't come up before, that we just leave it and let it sit. Because people have asked us to do something about it, I feel that we should certainly adhere to that request. A couple of years ago, a number of us councillors went down and sat at that corner many mornings a week at the busiest time of the day when people were going to work and dropping off children and so forth. And it didn't appear to us at the time that there was a lot of use of that road. But if it's dusty and gravelly and you've got kids in the car, you're not going to choose roads that aren't the nicest to drive on, which I understand. But I do see that we've got more happening in that area. We've got our rugby pitch coming on. The schools are growing. They're getting more and more students, which is more and more cars and parents and so forth. So I think that this is a good time for us to relook at that road and what's happening there. Thank you.
Yeah, look, I'll second this motion. As you know, I like to spend a lot of money on our roads and footpaths and building a bridge on Research Road, which a lot of people use. Yeah, so I'll just push that one in there. But I'll second this motion. I'm well supportive of updating what's going on.
Thanks, Mayor. One of the main reasons was that we, not only the dust situation, we were envisaging that there'd be a lot more traffic because of the bitumen and that people would go up and around and do a big loop. So is there any way that even if we did this, that would be guaranteed? Because having driven on that road for 9 years with Link SA, you can have traffic congestions and people are still wanting to sort of come out of the primary school, etc., etc. So it's a lot of money to be able to spend on a road hoping that people will drive anti-clockwise to get to the school. So that's just something that I thought I'd throw in at this point in time.
We're just asking for an update.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm not really that happy with the wording of this motion. I believe that, seeing this has been on the books since the advent of the Barossa Council, we really need to be seen to be pushing this up the list a little bit faster than leaving it on the back burner for another 12 months. I realise the petition signers are probably disappointed that it won't be included in this year's budget. The way that is worded, to me, we're basically saying we're not doing anything, but we're going to look at a report in 12 months' time. For me, they're not just, no one's getting anything out of this. I think we need to be a little bit more definitive. We need to take out decline to undertake the requested upgrade. We will, get a report and consider this in light of new information, new and unusual uses that have occurred around that area. I'm sorry, but I'm really struggling to support this motion with its current wording. I would move an amendment if there was sufficient. Bruce has.
Oh,
We can change the wording before we...
can we?
Let's not do it on the run. We'll deal with what we've got in front of us. Councillor Evans.
Thank you. I'm really off. I'm on. Right. Thank you. Thank you. Through them there. Yes, I also share the thoughts of Councillor Angus, and I note with respect you've just stated the position that we can't change the wording right now, but if we were able to take a retrospective step back, I would just suggest that after the words petition, we just deleted those 3 lines and then went on to say, and request a report, and leave the wording as it is. Be brought back to council within 12 months for assessment within that time frame.
If we're not substantially changing it, you can have an amendment.
Yeah,
Oh, can we?
Yeah, we did that last week.
Oh, lovely. Would that be okay? Oh, I hadn't. Oh, thank you. I was going to just add another word before I finish the sentence, but if that's okay, that would be lovely.
So what do we do?
If we take out the word decline,
Um,
the council received a note of petition to undertake the request to upgrade the seal.
But we're not.
based on prior assessment of council, and I think to remove the word decline and decline, so council receive and note the petition to undertake the requested upgrade to a sealed road service level based on the prior assessment, so not based on the prior assessment anymore, because now we're going to update the assessment. So based upon the factors, based upon new information brought to light as a result of an updated data assessment within the next 12 months. So, I may not have worded that
Excuse me,
absolutely correctly, but
Real change, that's an opposite. So one, we're declining, and now we're going to undertake to do it.
no, we're not declining.
Look, I think
That's a complete reversal.
with
No,
the
Tony.
agreement of the move and the second, we're just fundamentally rewording it a little bit. So I'm happy if you want to put something in to that effect, and then we'll talk with the mover in a second.
If Councillor Schilling and Priest are happy to, I was happy with the first suggestion to remove the first 3, the middle few sentences, and just keep it really simple and just say that we will be undertaking a report with updated data to be produced back to council within 12 months for assessment.
That's different, yeah. Well, that's different now.
You might need to put in the sealed road service in there as well, because that's what it's about.
Yeah, 'cause
I think in light of that, I think we need to deal with the motion we've got in front of us at the moment. So if you don't like that one, don't vote for it.
The first one.
What we have before us, the mover and the seconder, because we have substantially changed. No, haven't.
it will,
Oh,
because one, we're knocking it back.
Anyway, that's my ruling. So let's deal with the mover and second, the first one that you have before you. So I don't think there's any point to close the debate on that one. You're happy with that? All right, just hang on a minute. Let's deal with this one.
Yeah, but could we bring the 12 months back closer? So-
No, let's stay with what we've got first. All those in favour of the motion that's been put forward, please show your hands. 1, 2, 3. Those against? Okay, the motion is lost.
No, it's not.
Sorry.
what is it?
Okay. All those in favour, let's go
Are we
again.
Hang
going
on.
with the original motion now, yeah?
Yes, yeah, the original motion. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yeah, those against? 1. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, the motion was lost. Thank you. Now, what do you want to do?
Just change the wording.
Councillor Angus, Councillor Evans, Councillor Evans?
Thank you. That council receive and note the petition to upgrade a sealed road service level.
No, to consider.
Yeah,
But you've got to
correct.
consider it, don't we, Mayor? We're changing it completely.
Hang on, Tony.
To
Let's
consider
stay with the motion, the recommendation.
Well, we could put to consider an
it.
upgrade,
That's better, yeah.
if you prefer, to consider an upgrade to a sealed road
'Cause it's an
service
initiative.
level. So just the word consider in front of upgrade. Please, thank you very much. Consider and
Now-
upgrade.
And I don't intend that we sit here for a while and do a lot
No.
of wordsmith. We can just bring it back at
Is-
another day
is
if
that
we're
all
all
right? That sort
undecided.
of
Yes.
Encapsulates.
Okay.
Is it possible to do it within 6 months? You know, is that a workable time through the chair to Ben?
Well, you're only
Yep, thank
considering
you.
it, you're not doing anything. It may well mean that the report comes back in 6 months and you'll then defer it for your considerations in the future budget
Okay, so
allocation.
that's wonderful, thank you. So request a report be undertaken within 6 months with updated data to be brought back to council for assessment at our earliest consideration, or within 12 months. Yes, to request a report with updated data be brought back to council within 6 months for assessment. Can I be that prescriptive as to when it has to be assessed by?
No, I think just bring it back as a report and then you can follow on with whatever action you want from there.
You happy with that, Ben? Through the chair? Thank you. Thank you, Mayor, through the chair.
All right. Moved councillor Evans and seconded councillor Angus. I think you've already spoken a fair bit about it. Okay. Any other questions before? Yeah, councillor Thompson, sorry, yes. Who's? All right, your light's not lit up, that's all.
I just had a question about the road usage. At the moment, is it a bus route, and is it also are kids also collected on that route in terms of is there bus stopping on that road? No. No. That's all I had. Thank you.
So that motion has been moved and seconded. All clear? All in favour? Carried. Thank you.
That's better. To be considered, yeah, otherwise you're actually saying it's going to be suitable initiative.
We'll move to 3.4.1, which is question on notice. Councillor Priest, welcome to country ceremony costs. And I believe the information's been provided there. Would you like to move that? Thank you. Moved councillor Priest. Is there a seconder? Seconded councillor Greatwich. Any comments or questions? No. Okay.
I actually have a question.
Yes.
I have a question about, and so my question is there some parameter around relevance of questions on notice, or of them being sort of related to strategic purpose?
CEO? Let you handle that one.
Well, I can follow it up by saying a lot of other councils, I did some research, a lot of other councils have quite prescriptive policies around what can and cannot be submitted as a question on notice.
I have an opinion on it, but I'll let the CEO.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Thanks, councillor Growich. No, question on notice is fairly broad. It just has to have some form of relevance to the organisation. It has to be proper. It can't be vindictive or reflective, I guess, on past decisions. But we've never developed a policy to that extent. I haven't had that cause, but we can certainly do some research. But the decision of whether a question on notice is I can't remember the exact words in the Act, are relevant and proper is the Mayor. So the question on notice can be asked so long as it has some form of relevance. Yeah. There's no restriction within our policy framework at the moment, no.
Councillor Priest, can I ask how this has come about? Was there a request from a community member or something concerning the cost that we've spent on this?
Through the chair, the reasoning of this ask is that, yes, there has been questions from the community about the costing of this. So that's the reason why, yeah. And then I can't see why this is improper when council, when ratepayers' money is involved, which we should be looking at and checking on where our money's been spent. She was, and it was a request from residents. When I was at the Australia Day event, people were asking me what the cost was. So if that's being offensive, I'm sorry, but it is ratepayers' money and they have the right to ask, and I have the right to ask that question on behalf of the ratepayers.
I don't think, Councillor Priest, anyone is questioning that offensive or anything else. I would say, in my opinion, we all get questions. We all get questions, and I think you all at certain times will ring up staff or you'll ring me up. I think I would like the questions, in my personal view, and Councillor Priest, you're correct, you can ask these things, but I think if you ask a question and you get the answer, you can go back to that ratepayer and say, blah, blah.
Ratepayers.
Ratepayers, yes. But also, I would like to think that the questions have some action to it. That's probably what I'm getting at. If it's just coming along just to ask a question for the sake of asking a question, to me, is the so what? Okay, fair enough, ratepayers may ask the question, but I don't think every question's got to come to this chamber. We've in the past, we've set a fairly some sort of guidelines that we didn't want to be bogged down with a whole lot of questions in the chamber, which there wasn't an action to it. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong or indifference about this, and you're within your rights, councillor. But all I'm doing is just highlighting the fact is, you know, our staff are available. You'll get questions, I get questions, I go back to different people and answer. We answer lots of questions through emails and things like that. So I just throw that out there at the moment. We've had a mover and a seconder. Let's put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Thank you. Mayor's report on page 42. Couple of things I just want to touch on is just highlight the South Australian Cricket Facilities Award that we've been presented to. So we've won the South Australian Cricket Facilities Award, and now that puts us in running for the national award for what this council has achieved. And I'd just like to acknowledge the council from the past and the council here and the commitment that we've made, but more importantly, the grand effort that the staff has put in, and we've also got the National Over 65 Carnival here at the moment with a group of cricketers from all over Australia. So really, really exciting to see these facilities already being used and being used to the degree that we hoped when we started this journey. Yeah, Councillor Priest?
Oh, I had a question, but that's all right.
All right, well, you're in first.
Okay. I've been around the Barossa Valley for 77 years. Martin, a CEO, you can laugh. How long has Tanunda been known as the Red Heart? I've never heard of it before until I read this.
So that was the promotional material when it went out. That's not my words, and that's the words of the people who have done the assessment. So if they want to say it's the Red Heart, hey, we got recognition. Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Look, just on that, what you were saying there about what's happening in the Barossa. I'd just like to report that on the weekend we had in Nuriupta, we had the Japanese Motorcycle Club. And I'd just like to point out that This event cost us nothing. There was no road closures or anything, so there was no council staff involved. There was approximately $30,000 spent at the caravan park. The Lions Club had a revenue of about $14,000 for breakfasts and lunches and dinners. They also went to the Vine and spent a lot of money on Sunday night for dinner, and they visited various coffee shops, wineries, spent a lot of money at the Barossa Fresh Grocery. So Nuriupta would have done very well out of that visit by the Japanese Motorcycle Club, and it was very well attended by a lot of families on the weekend.
So your question is, are we going to do more events like this?
Well, yes.
Thank you.
My question is, yes.
Yeah,
This is
okay.
the sort of events that
Yeah.
we should be, and sending a letter out to thank them for it as well, but we should be doing a lot more of these events, and hopefully council staff that are involved in this sort of events will be pushing and looking at more of these events, which actually cost us nothing. Thank you.
Very good. Any other further questions? All those in... Oh, sorry, I need a mover first. Councillor Angus and second Councillor De Vries. All those in favour? Carried. Councillors' report to council. Councillor Greatwich on page 47. Councillor Greatwich. Any questions? Someone like to move? Councillor De Vries, seconded Councillor Evans. Either one wish to speak? Thanks. Okay. All those in favour? Carried. Councillor Barrett on page 49. Thank you. Someone like to move? Councillor Greatwich and Councillor Evans. Any comments? Yep.
I'd just like to give some follow-up to that. Whilst at that particular event, Councillor Angus, he got buttonholed by one of the people from over there, and the upside of that is I do believe that the good townspeople of Eden Valley are going to get a community toilet installed. So there are other things that occur when you go to these. So well done, Councillor Angus.
Whoa. Okay. All those in favour of Councillor Barrett's report? Carried. Councillors, we have some matters for information there. Is there any action out of that? If not, we will move on to the debate agenda.
Just briefly, if I may.
Yes, Councillor
I
Greatwich.
feel like I foreshadowed this, so it won't be a great surprise, but I did just feel very compelled to note in the report under 6.1 that there are some factors to be explored when considering the implementation of CCTV cameras. I think it's really important that if there is going to be consideration, then the first question needs to be whether we actually need or want them. That's the only thing that I just wanted to have included in there.
Thank you. Councillor Schilling.
I was just waiting for the next item,
Okay.
Mr
Okay.
Mayor, so that I can declare a conflict of interest.
Okay. I'll get you to turn yours off for a moment. Councillor Priest.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, look, I echo Councillor Greatwich's concerns about the cameras, whether we actually need them. I'm of the opinion we don't need them. This is another Big Brother attempt at Big Brother. There's not a big crime wave going on in the Barossa that I can see. So I don't think we need to spend $85,000 where that could be spent on paving roads or fixing footpaths and fixing potholes and things like that, or spending it on the toy library. So yeah, I can't see why we're even bothering to do this.
Well, it's there for information at the moment, so we'll leave it where it sits. Councillor... Okay, matters for information. We'll move on.
Could I ask one question? How long did it take to work out these costings, and why are we doing these as such?
Well, it's there for your information.
Okay.
So, look, and we're not doing anything.
No, but it takes time to do these things, and it's...
Well, it was something that was, we was asked to have a look at it.
Okay,
So,
okay. Listen.
Yeah. Councillor Lane.
Just balancing it up. I work with lots of people with school community, police community, we're not as clean and well living as what we think. So I'm not joining in on the fact we don't need them. I'll be interested in the implementation, whereabouts they go strategically, but not having a conversation around the increase of crime in this town would be negligent on our behalf. So that's where I'm sitting.
All right, well, it's there for information and we can action it as appropriately if and when. Well, let's move on to the debate agenda. And Councillor Schilling, your light should be on now.
Thank you.
Turn.
Mr Mayor, I would like to declare a conflict of interest on item 7.1.1 and therefore I will leave the room while you deliberate.
So this is the item 7.1.1, which is the conversion of the community loan. This is the Neuroopta Futures Association, and there is a recommendation there for you to consider. Any questions that anyone may have?
Happy to move it.
Moved, Councillor Angus.
Hey.
Oh, sorry. Councillor Priest, you're moving.
Maybe I won't.
I thought we were turning lights on.
Yeah, you're right.
If
You're right.
I'll yield to Councillor Angus if he wants to move it. I'll second it.
Moved Councillor Angus, seconded Councillor Priest. Councillor Angus, you will speak? No. Councillor Priest? Okay. Nothing further. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Now the next item, hang on, oh, yes, I do have to.
We're going back to 6.4 and all of these.
For information.
Next item is 7.1.2, which is the internal review of the council decision on 18A Elizabeth Street drainage. Councillors, I am moving that item on to later in the meeting because we do have a confidential matter that we need to discuss before we consider that particular report and make a decision on it. So I've made arrangements for that to come up later on in the meeting after we've dealt with the confidential item. So with that in mind, we'll move on to 7.1.3, which is the annual review against the strategic policy platform and elected behaviour norms of council and its elected members. This is a very important document. This really sets the blueprint for how we agreed we were going to set some targets, and it's good to review how we are tracking and then to set down and see how best we move forward in the future. So it is very much the blueprint. There's a lot of things that have happened in the 2 years or year and a half, I suppose, of this council. So I thought it was appropriate to bring this back. We did say that when we adopted this particular strategy that we would review it in 12 months' time. So that's why it's there before you at the moment. Any questions? Councillor Hearn and seconded Councillor Evans. You'd like to speak to it, Councillor?
I just think it's something that we need to do, and not that I necessarily agree with that, but because we have to do it, I'm supporting it, and I agree with the comments that are made within.
Councillor Evans?
Oh, I likewise support the process, and given we've been given an estimate of the funds required and they're already available and ready, I think that's a very good initiative. Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's good that we obviously review everything, set some parameters, and then of course all of our staff get reviewed on a regular basis. So it's good to see how we're performing too in this way. Any further questions? All those in favour? Carried. 7.1.4 on page 116 is the Northern York Local Government Association minutes and a proxy member nomination. I would suggest, if I may, if you choose to put a proxy person into this, I would suggest it would be appropriate to not, in my opinion, not just say who the councillor is, but let's put the deputy mayor's role, and as that changes, and if it changes, it's quite clear that it's the deputy mayor. That's if you choose to go that way. Or you don't need a proxy, that's fine.
You don't, through you, Mr. Mayor, you don't have to have a deputy, a proxy. But if the mayor can't attend, then nobody else can attend unless you have a proxy.
Yeah. If I can't attend, no one else can attend, and you've got no voting rights, even if someone comes along, in any case, representing council, you really haven't got a voice, which is a bit of a weird thing, but most of the agenda that I see, I don't attend because I don't think there's a lot of relevance for us, but I go when I think there's something that is important and needs representing from the Barossa Council, but it's your decision. Councillor Priest?
Yeah, look, I'll recommend what you're saying about appointing the Deputy Mayor as a proxy. Quite happy to do that.
Councillor Priest? Seconded?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. At the end of the day, if they don't want to go, they don't.
Do you want to speak to it?
I think enough been said.
Sorry, through the Mayor, I appreciate it's been moved and seconded. I just wanted to say that the Northern York, from an environmental perspective, do an enormous amount in our region, as you know, in our backyard, as far as I'm aware. So, yeah, any ties are wonderful to have with them. So that's great that there's proxy there to step in if needed, which is good. Thank you.
I just clarify, it's not the Northern York Landscape Board, it's the local government. Yeah,
I understand,
yeah,
but
okay.
I just thought if there's any assimilation or crossover there, because, you know, Northern and York, in the general sense, in the greater sense of the word, it's good to just keep involved, yeah. Thank you.
And I might clarify that sometimes I choose not to go because if it's up the other side of Port Pirie,
yes,
by the time the cost and everything,
yeah,
you go up there for no real reason, I stay home.
Thank
All those in favour? Carried. Goalposts, 7.1.5.
I'll move the recommendation, Mayor.
I'll just see if there's a question first.
Oh, sorry, Jane.
Councillor Hearn, you've moved. Seconded Councillor Barrett. Speak to it.
Yeah, this,
Just on the voting for motions and that, I've noticed that if people have already put their lights on, you don't call it. People who are moving motions before the motion's even read out or put on before we've already split the motion. If someone puts a light on to move motion for the next motion, and then someone seconds that motion who doesn't even put a light on, that's my point of order. I think we should have the conformity that you put your light on, you move it after the last question or the last motion's been done. Not prior to that. Gives opportunity for other people to do what they do.
Thanks, Councillor. Appreciate it.
this has been a subject that's been around for a few years, and I think Councillor Schilling and myself have spoken to the CEO, and here it's just confirmation that we don't mind that the Angaston Football Club like to stick a few nets behind the goals. So I urge everyone to support his letter.
Councillor Barrett, do you want to say anything?
No, it's all self-evident. Just should make life easier for the people running stupid footballs all the time.
Any further comments? All those in favour? Carried. 522, 7.1.6, the Town of Gawler Boundary Reform Proposal, Engagement of Consultants, and initial works, commitments and impacts, providing these comments. Councillor Greatwich.
I actually have a question of clarification about the recommendation, if I may, which is in the final paragraph. It says relevant. Yes, paragraph 3. Yep, final paragraph. SATIC. To clarify, is that acronym the South Australian Tourism Industry Council? Yeah. So SATIC doesn't exist anymore. It would be TICSA, which is the Tourism Industry Council, but it's actually SATC that you mean. No, you do mean the Tourism Industry Council? Would that be relevant to boundary reform as much as the South Australian Tourism Commission, which administers the tourism regions? Because it also, I could also then declare a conflict.
No, the intent was to have the industry body, so the idea was to make sure industry bodies are actually engaged.
Okay.
It would be difficult for a government department to have a conversation with somebody
Yeah.
around a government-run process.
Yeah,
So
okay.
no, and it is, you're correct, I'm
So-
a bit behind the times.
No,
TICSA.
no, TICSA. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, fantastic. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify. So, yeah.
I just wanted to move the recommendation, but if anybody has a question, I'm happy to wait until.
Any further questions?
All right, then I'll move the recommendation, yeah.
Seconder. Councillor Priest.
Yeah,
You
I'll second
second
it, yep.
Look, what we're trying to do here is be inclusive of all the people who are going to most likely be affected by this, should it go ahead. So I think this recommendation makes an enormous amount of sense.
Echo the words of Councillor Vries.
Any further comments? All those in favour? Carried. Seven point 2.1 is the monthly financial report as of the 29th of February 2024 on page 538. Is there any questions? You didn't turn your light on.
I know, but nobody had theirs.
No, good. Thanks. Councillor De Vries and Councillor
I'll
Schilling.
second it,
Thank you. All those in favour? Carried. CEO.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Can I just bring to the attention of the chamber that there was one item 722 listed on the index.
Oh, sorry, yes.
We'll make a note, but that is simply a duplication of 711.
Thank you. That's another thing I overlooked. Thank you. Page 541, 7.3.1, the REX and the Community Energy Upgrade Fund, round 1, an opportunity there for funding that has been identified in the report. Councillor Priest.
Yeah, just a question on this. So does this say that the council won't put any money into that we're going for the community grant of $242,000? Through the chair?
Through you, Mr Mayor, we're levering up money that we've already allocated to get a bigger outcome, so there's no additional funding requirements.
Thank you.
I was just going to move it if there's no questions.
Any further questions? Councillor Barrett.
I'd just like to comment, not everything I do is related to Mount Pleasant. I actually made inquiries about this before I received the agenda item, and I'm just glad we are in the running to get some federal government money, and as the CEO says, lever it up, and so we get twice as much for half the money. So excellent. Thank you.
Oh, no, I'll turn it on.
I was only going to say very quickly, a fantastic initiative, and thank you very much for the region.
Well, I was going to say that as I read this item, I thought, my goodness, not more money into Nunda. And then when I read it to the end, I thought, well, we can't not support this.
Thank you.
It's the environment.
Any further comments? All those in favour? Carried. 7.3.2, which is a request to install a bench seat and a plaque on page 575.
Yeah, no, we've already got it.
We've got it.
We just didn't scroll as quick.
Okay, we're going to deal with the bench as far as I'm concerned. And this is a donation to as a memorial. Hang on, oh, look, councillor, hang on, just.
It's ready to go.
It's ready to go. Good. Is that, okay, good.
When you get a mover in a second, it'll update.
Okay, that's what I'm after, is a mover and a seconder.
Yeah, I put my light on, so I'll move it.
The seconder, councillor Priest.
So moved, seconded.
Yeah, I really like it when this sort of thing happens. I think it's a great way to create a memorial, and also it value adds to the community and provides space for people to sit and enjoy the environment. So, yeah, every time one of these comes up, I'm always in favour.
Yeah, I mean, this is great that the people want to install a new bench and a commemoration, a plaque for Jess Daly. So I'm all for it, and it's great that it's for Nuriupta as well.
Councillor Hearn, thank you, Councillor Priest. I agree wholeheartedly. I'd like to see it in they're looking for suggestions, perhaps determined where it's going to go. And I think driving past the Nuriupta train park on many occasions, we could do with another 10 seats in that area. So if they considered the train park to be the area, lots of people visit it, and it would be put near a shady tree would be fabulous.
We'll move to Development and Community Services, 7.4.1, the dog registration fees for 2024-2025 on page 583. There's a recommendation there that sets out the fees. I think they're pretty well defined in any case. It's just a matter of ratification, is my understanding. Any questions? Councillor De Vries.
I don't have a dog in this fight, so I'm going to move the recommendation.
Councillor Breeze moved. Councillor Evans?
I just had one quick question.
Yes.
Working dogs. How much of the stray dog extra work side of things do they account for the council dog catcher and the team that manage dogs? I suppose I'm just asking, working dogs, I must declare we have 2 working dogs ourselves, so maybe it's a conflict and I shouldn't say anything at all, but it's just with the fees, I know they could never be for free, but working dogs are always chained up at night and they're restrained on the properties. They rarely go off-farm, off-site, and I suppose you need to keep track of them though, don't we, for council? We have to keep record of them and track of them in the region, pretty much. There's no way they can be exempt or free like a assistance dog, because they kind of take the job of 2 workmen for you. Like, they work really hard. and I suppose we should pay for the privilege, but...
CEO?
We'd have to take it on notice. We've no idea what that figure would be.
No, it's just a thought.
I would also say that there'd be many dogs out there that are also put in their homes and looked after every night too.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
I think and I guess we could give you some data and we can have a look at that and try and get it out to you as part of the minutes. But I can tell you that those fees nowhere near cover the costs of actually managing it.
No, and I understand that, and it's with all due respect, so thank you.
I have a mover, I need a seconder. Councillor Lane, thank you.
I was going to.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, look, as the CEO just pointed out, the costs are not even recoverable. This is just, the cost of just monitoring the dogs is greater than the fees that we're charging, and as you can see, the working dog fee is very low, it's only $25, so... So, and we've tried to keep it low for that very reason. The same with greyhounds as well. So, short of making it free, I think that's pretty reasonable.
Nothing further?
Yeah, I've got...
Yep, thank you.
Just on the cost of dog retrieval and so forth, a lot of the Facebook sites around, all the community stuff is pretty good nowadays on dogs being found, dogs being recovered. So, I think those fees are pretty good. I don't think we need to worry about it too much, to be honest.
Thank you. All those in favour? Carried. Page 590, 7.4.2. This is a consideration of the adoption of the committee resolutions and Bush Gardens minutes. 590.
Oh, well,
Councillor Hearn?
yes, I'll so move.
Councillor Troop? You're seconding?
Yes, yeah, sorry.
Either one wish to speak? All those in favour? Carried. Page 599, 7.4.3, the toy library proposal. Any questions? Councillor Greatwich?
I'm happy to move the recommendation.
Thank you. Councillor Troop? Second. Councillor Greatwich, you wish to speak to it?
Sorry. A really fantastic proposal, and I'm really pleased to see it arising out of the conference which was hosted here in the Barossa last year. I'd just like to have my wholehearted support for this initiative on the record. I think it's anything that we're able to do that supports those early childhood outcomes are really critically important. We know that there is a diversity of socioeconomic circumstances in the Barossa. I was reminded by my mother that she ran the toy library in the 1983 and how fantastic it was, and that sometimes those fantastic ideas are perpetual. So I'm really pleased to support this.
Councillor Troop, you wish to speak to it?
I'd just like to echo that. Am I on? Yep, sorry. Just like to echo it. I mean, early learning is vital, and in that census, I'm very interested in the census, and I believe there'll be another one soon, but 25% of our children have some sort of a diagnosis or disability. And I believe that as a council we should be supporting that no child in the Barossa ever gets left behind. So I think that's the most important thing. Toy libraries are going to support that, and it'll be for free, and it'll be for people down in the southern Barossa. Win-win. So thanks for the initiative.
Councillor De Vries.
Yeah, I just want to add my total support to this. I think it's fantastic, and I'm just surprised we didn't do this before.
I'd actually like to see this, if we don't get funding, that actually we fund it ourselves, because I've been involved in toy libraries before, and I think it's a great initiative. Even if we have to fund it ourselves, I've seen it in other councils work very, very well.
Yeah, the feedback I've got locally down south, tremendous idea, and I commend staff for bringing this for us for consideration. Thank you.
All those in favour? Carried. 7.4.4 is the budget allocation for an independent engineer's report on behalf of the Barossa Assessment Panel on page 604. Any questions?
Through the chair, I must declare a conflict of interest
Oh, thank
because I was involved in the decision making. Thank you.
Any questions? Councillor Angus.
I'd like to move the recommendation, Mayor, and then I'll speak to it.
I'd like to second that if that's okay. May I second the motion? Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you. This has given me a great deal of pause for thought, or cause for thought. For those who haven't followed the development application, it's a 10-acre dam just out of Stockwell by the Pinnacle Drinks Group, Woolworths. It is 160 megalitres, which is enough to plant another, in the old money it was up to nearly 400 acres of vineyard, but now when it's less than 1 megalitre per hectare, it's probably 100 hectares, so 250 acres of vineyard, new vineyard, when there are vines left unpicked in the current climate that we have. And I question the ethics of the companies that do this thing. They come into the Barossa, they use our name and our reputation to produce a $15 bottle of Shiraz, which we need to guard against, because that is not what the Barossa is about. Unfortunately, we are powerless to do that, save and except for the fact that the character preserve legislation does suggest, more than suggests, it says that we should be very careful not to approve things that have a deleterious effect on social and economic well-being of our community. This structure, I think, does constitute a significant risk to the town of Stockwell. It deserves to be further investigated. I know we live in a free country and everyone is entitled to do whatever is fair, reasonable and legal. And maybe I should emphasise reasonable, because this is all about returns to shareholders, leveraging the Barossa, and all there will be 40 or 50 growers who are saying to the council, why are you approving another development like this? And the answer is because we literally have to. And I'm not debating that. I'm suggesting we make it as that we cross the T's, dot the I's, and make sure that whatever they produce out there at Stockwell does not pose a risk to that township. It offends me that there are vines being left on, grapes being left on the vines, and more stuff being planted, all in the name of a return to shareholders. We all need a return as shareholders, and we're all shareholders. Anyone who's got a super fund is a shareholder. But it's the word reasonable. I also think that while a Turkey's Nest tank dam is envisaged in the rural area, this is not a Turkey's Nest dam. A big Turkey's Nest dam is 30 megalitres. This is nearly 5 times that. This is a reservoir. And as such, it poses a significant potential risk. I may have strayed from the subject, but they're my thoughts. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you. I'd like to echo virtually all of Councillor Angus's perspective, and I think that this is around risk. I was very compelled by the submissions that were made against this in the first instance from the landowners in Stockwell, with the idea of this thing kind of looming over them. But I think that given that the central point of this is risk, I too am going to stray slightly, which is that the idea that Woolworths are building this enormous reservoir, that's the word that I was going to use as well, actually poses a risk to the Barossa more broadly in terms of, and I won't labour the point, but exactly the point that the Councillor Angus has made. As climate change continues to have an impact in our region, water will become, it already is, but it will continue to become an incredibly tightly held resource. We are already seeing oversupply. We have massive oversupply of wine with the word Barossa on it already. And the idea that we are going to go out there and support a company like Woolworths to produce sub-quality wine with our brand name on it in order to sell, I think actually poses a risk more broadly to the brand equity of the Barossa, the future viability of other grape growers in our region, and then there is that further structural risk to the landowners in Stockwell. I appreciate that the scope of the independent report really falls within an engineer's perspective, and I appreciate that, but I can't let the opportunity fall to say that risk is not actually just about that wall failing and flooding Stockwell. There is a broader existential risk for our region.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm not going to vote against this, but I'm deeply troubled by the fact that this has actually been proposed. I'm not concerned about anything about what the previous two speakers have spoken about, because, to be honest, this is a planning decision, and while your concerns are real, they're not relevant to this issue. My concern is that we are outsourcing the decision to an independent opinion. If this, one of three things will come: either they will say yes, this is fine, or it'll be no, it isn't, or we're not sure. Probably the most likely thing is it'll probably be on the balance of probabilities it's okay, but they will never say 100% it's fine. Nobody is that stupid. So ultimately the decision is a judgment call which needs to be made by the panel, but by allowing this to go ahead, which we will do, we're ultimately allowing this independent person to take on the role of the decision maker, and I find that very troubling. Should the panel, for example, ignore the advice of this independent assessment, it will then absolutely cop an appeal, and effectively I would imagine that the independent assessment, the question will be, if you've sought that and then you go against it, what's the point? The other thing that I'm concerned about is that the panel themselves are independent. They are deemed to be capable of making this decision, and if they feel that they are incapable of making it, then there's a very simple answer: you refuse. I don't understand quite why that wasn't taken. Likewise, this was independently assessed by the staff, and they could have sought additional information if they felt it was required. So I think this is a dangerous precedent. I will support it because I'm not going to derail the process, but I'm going to suggest very strongly to this council and also to the panel that this is a one-time only offer.
Thank you, Mayor. I had great concerns as I read this report. When I read words like there's significant risks involved with this dam, it sends alarm bells going through my mind. So much so, I thought a few years ago when a dam just above Echunga threatened the township of Echunga. So I did some independent reading, and I read the Australian Disaster Resilience Knowledge Hub, and they reviewed 9 case studies in 2022-23, and they actually had quite a few engineers involved in that particular dam failure and the work that was involved to empty that dam so it didn't pose a threat to the township of Echunga. And whilst I'm mindful of the sage advice given to us by Councillor De Vries, I will also be supporting this motion because I think it's just too great a risk on several fronts, but I have great concerns about the people within Stockwell. Thank you.
Yes, I just have a question. I couldn't quite work out from the photographs whether it's actually positioned in a watercourse, in the natural watercourse. It's not. It's separate from the water that comes from Eden Valley, so there's no reason that that would capture any natural watercourse water. It will be just filled from the Bill water scheme. And rainfall. That's a lot of water. Yes, I am too concerned about the risk to the town. Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. I too was concerned with the report and seeing the size of it. We did have one dam that created havoc on the township of Nuriutpa and surrounds back in the 80s flood when a big dam broke up in the hills. And what happens if this dam does break? Who is responsible for it, and what are the ramifications? And I would think that this chamber should now proceed with caution.
Yeah, look, I echo what Councillor DeVries said, that if DAP was so concerned about this, why didn't they just say no? Because I would have voted no for it if I was on DAP. End of story. But I echo everything that the other councillors have said here about the dangers of this. This is a Woolworths, a big company who throws its weight around. It charges, takes advantage of the Australian community by charging whatever it wants for food prices. All it cares about is its profits, nothing else. So I will vote for this, but I can't understand why the DAP just didn't vote no in the story.
You want to close the debate?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, please. Look, I accept Councillor DeVries, your view and your opinions that this is setting a dangerous precedent. I believe this is actually a safeguard to the council. I think the DAP would have approved it, and in all honesty probably will, because it is essentially a legal activity, and we'll just end up in court if we refuse it. Point is, we need to make these developers or people who come in and want to take advantage of us aware that we know what they're up to, even though we're powerless to do much about it. But it also might make us start to think, how can we protect our own patch? You know, we're not North Korea and we're not Russia and we're not China, but somewhere in between, you know, here and there, some common sense might come in to say, look, no, this is not an activity that we really like. So I would urge you to support a budget amount of up to $5,000 just to do an independent report. Thank you.
Put the motion. All those in favour? Carried. Next item is 7.4.5 on page 700.
There's an updated resolution.
Yes, there is an updated resolution which was circulated. Any questions that you have on Barossa Stobie poles and the notion of community art project? Councillor Thompson.
I was going to move it. If
Okay.
No one's got
any questions? Thompson.
We need a councillor nominated.
Oh, we need a councillor nominated. Okay, yes, we do. Any volunteers who've got a flair for Stobie pole art?
When would that happen?
Beg your pardon?
I'm happy to do it as long as it can be done.
Okay. Yep, all right. Councillor DeVries has volunteered, so you're happy to move the motion with Councillor DeVries as our nominated design artist? Councillor Priest.
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson, you will speak to it?
I have to leave the room.
No.
It's your choice, councillor.
You haven't got to leave over conflict of interest.
No. Councillor Priest, do you want to speak to the motion?
Yeah, no, I just think this is a good idea. I've been involved in Stobie pole painting before, just painting the whites and the blacks, not the artwork. So it's a great initiative and I fully support it.
Any further comment? All those in favour? Carried. 7.4.6 is the draft auxiliary accommodation and student accommodation definitions review code amendment on page 721. Any questions? Councillor Greatwich?
Happy to move the recommendation.
Moved Councillor Greatwich, seconded Councillor Angus. Sorry. Yeah, I got to be careful. Councillor Greatwich, you wish to speak to it? No. Okay. No further comment. All those in favour? Carried. .4.7 is the building insurance review indemnity on page 729. Councillor Priest.
I'll move such motion.
Councillor Priest.
Enough's been said.
Councillor Schilling. Anything to...
No, that it's something that needs to be done, so go.
All those in favour? Carried. 7.4.8, draft state-wide bushfire hazard overlay code amendment, page 750. Any questions?
I have a question. This was fascinating reading. My question is around the concerns that have been raised about the mapping and the sort of sense that they've been artificially generated. And I'm just wondering whether that's been confirmed. That's my first question. Whether that has actually been confirmed, or is that simply the question that's arisen and that will form part of the submission? Because they look, even to my completely untrained eye, strange.
Through Mr Mayor, that's a concern identified by the staff, so that's something we'll be asking of the Commission, how those maps have been generated.
Yeah.
And I will just add that this code amendment has been driven by the insurance industry, similar to flood mapping, in terms of houses being built in appropriate locations moving forward.
Oh, which makes it even more extraordinarily relevant. Yeah, absolutely. So my follow-up question to that was whether there's a collaborative or a cohesive approach that's taken by councils. Is this discussed at an LGA level in terms of, are we aware of other councils also making the same queries in their submissions? I imagine there's a group chat somewhere.
Yep, through the Mayor, absolutely through the Local Government Assessment Managers Forum. So every council is effectively submitting a very similar response in these areas.
Great, and that could perhaps be the reason why that deadline for submission has been extended.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Councillor Priest.
I'll just second that motion.
No, it was a question.
I'll move it.
Thank you.
I thought Councillor Greatwich moved it, sorry. That was a question.
You're moving it.
Second.
Seconded Councillor Evans. Wish to speak to it?
No, just endorse everything that Councillor Greatwich has said.
Any further comment? All those in favour? Carried. Councillors, we now move to the 8.1.1, which is the confidential matters that we're going to deal with, and that they are related to 18A Elizabeth Street, Tanunda, drainage matter. 8.1.2 is the electorate representation review. as well as further confidential matters, the the CWMS treatment plant upgrade, and another matter that we need to deal with is the Gawler River Floodplain Management Authority. So someone move that we move into confidence.
Could I just ask a question before you, I've had my light on.
Yep.
Could I just ask a brief question? On the electors representation review, do we need to, what's the reason why we need to go into confidence with that, through the chair?
Well, we're going to go into confidence for the first item first now, not all of them. So,
okay.
Okay. So 8.1, someone move that we go,
I'll move it.
and then we'll deal with that one then.
Okay, I'll move it then.
You'll deal with 7.2.1.
And then we'll deal with that other matter straight after. So we won't, yes, thank you.
So I'll move the motion.
Move that we go into confidence.
Yes.
Seconded, councillor Troop. All those in favour? Carried.
Page 197.
David, just want to let those people know that they can
come back in if you like. Was that
Page 197.
7.1?
7.1.2.
Now we go back into the main.
Members, after dealing with that matter in confidence, we'll now go back to 7.1.2, which is the internal review of council decision 18A Elizabeth Street drainage. Is there any questions that anyone has with regard to the report? Councillor Priest?
I'll just move the motion as is.
Moved Councillor Priest. Seconded Councillor Angus. Councillor Priest, you wish to speak any further on it?
No, I think there is enough been said at this stage.
Councillor Angus?
I have nothing further to add, thank you, Mayor.
Any other comments? If not, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Council, we'll revert now back to the confidential matter, which we're dealing with the electors' representative review on 2024-2025. Councillor Priest.
So moved.
We go into confidence. And seconded, Councillor De Vries. All those in favour? Carried.
Certainly do, Mr. Yep. I don't write the law, I just get to follow it.
Move we go into confidence, Your Worship.
Seconded it.
Hang on. Okay, Councillor De Vries, you'll move to go into confidence. And seconded Councillor Hearn. All those in favour? I deliberately went past you then. vote of confidence again. Just hang on for a second. Or...
Dave, don't open that door.
No, we're automatically out.
Yeah, we are. Yep, you're right. But I've just got to... Councillors, we now have one more confidential item, which is the
Gawler River.
Gawler River Flood Management Authority draft annual business plan 2024-2025 budget and tabling of confidential minutes on page.
Oh, Councillor Hearn. Councillor Hearn.
Councillor Bruce.
So moved.
And seconded Councillor Hearn. All those in favour? business for the, okay. Oh, hang on, I've got to.
It's recording.
Councillors, that concludes our meeting this evening. Our next scheduled meeting is the 16th of April 2024.